No, not a problem at all. Beaten by the bell.
My Wii transfer is still working in the background, so you might get something popping into your email. So if it's in time, then fine, but don't worry about it.
We'll make a plan and we'll make do. That's perfect. I suppose if anything, Skype is Zoom at least has been indicative of how adaptable and I think indeed how resilient we have all been facing these roadblocks of that's been imposed by COVID-19. So we can solving problems is the name of the game here. Yeah. Joanna, I think I see we're on 4 o'clock, so I'm going to manage the waiting room, and I think I'm going to hand over from here to you and Vanessa. And just take this opportunity to say thank you very much for coming. And Vanessa, I believe Vanessa will be giving us the introduction. So V, it gives me great pleasure to hand over to you. And Joanna, thank you again so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Oh, and V, let's get you unmuted.
Where's Vanessa? She's hiding.
There we go. I've unmuted. There we go. Okay, fantastic.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
For those, I thought I'd give a small introduction for those who don't know Joanna. She's obviously been a friend of Strauss & Company since we formed the company 10 years ago. And she's had over 30 years experience working with jewelry, beginning her career as a goldsmith before joining De Beers, where she sorted diamonds in the rough. She then went on to work in Antwerp as a polished diamond dealer before joining Phillips, the auctioneers in London. She then moved to Sotheby's in Bond Street and for 14 years was their senior jewellery specialist and auctioneer, where she was responsible for jewellery auctions worldwide in New York, Geneva and London. She's visited South Africa on many occasions. She's an independent fine jewellery specialist, conducting masterclasses and lectures worldwide. She's also an author with her books Collect Contemporary Jewelry, Emerald and Ruby. She curates contemporary jewelry exhibitions, is an accredited lecturer for the Art Society, and recently a Freeman of the City of London, a liveryman and court assistant of the Worshipful Company of Goldsmiths, and will be the Prime Warden in 2027 to celebrate their 700th year. She will be the first woman representing the trade in 700 years. She is also on the British Hallmarking Council for the British government, a trustee of the Goldsmiths Centre, and a trustee of the Gemological Association of Great Britain, a fellow of the Royal Society of Arts, and as we all know her, a regular jewellery specialist on the Antiques Roadshow. Welcome, Joanna.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. So you have a sale coming up soon.
We do,
Vanessa.
We do on the 11th of May, and I thought perhaps I sent you the link, and you obviously have chosen a couple of jewelry lots that you would like to go through and perhaps discuss. So
I think this, as we all know, it's a very challenging time for everybody, and especially for the jewelry industry. And so, with the industry, with gemstones and jewelry, obviously we need to handle the pieces and see the stones for ourselves. So we're doing a joint effort here, which is I looked at some of the pieces in your catalogue, and you have actually seen them, obviously, Vanessa, and held them. So I think it'll be a combination of what I like about it, and then you can tell us a little bit more about the pieces as well, to try and bring them to life. But you will be able to have for viewing your sale, won't you?
We will be having viewing from our offices, which will be by appointment.
Okay.
That's as soon as our lockdown is lifted, which we are hoping will be the 4th of May. Matt, could
Well,
we
good
have the
luck
first look?
with that.
Thank you. So, Joanna,
So
there's the
these
first one.
ones here, what caught my eye with these is I like jewelry that interchanges, and I think going forward we want to be able to have jewelry that we can wear on more than one occasion, and also to be able to look of it. So with these pieces, you're saying to me, Vanessa, that the bottoms can interchange, so you can have sort of 3 or 4 different earrings here.
Absolutely. In fact, yes, you can have four pairs of earrings.
So are they the tops, and it's just the aquamarine, the South Sea pearls, and the emeralds, which are the interchangeable ones?
They are indeed. I think the aquamarines are particularly attractive. They weigh approximately 13.70 carats. Very nice.
Collectively, the aquamarines weigh that collectively?
Yes.
Okay.
In total.
So we have the next slide. Now, what caught my eye with this one is because I just love the sense of movement, and that is very important to me about jewelry, is that I want a piece of jewelry that I'm looking for 3 things. I'm looking for craftsmanship, I'm looking for good design, and I'm also looking for the suggestion of movement. And it doesn't mean to say that the piece has to move, but if it does move, I want to see that it has been well made. Obviously, I can't see on the reverse of this piece how it's made, but looking at the front of it, even though nothing actually physically moves, there's a real sense of movement here. And that's what caught my eye. Obviously, we have this emerald, pear-shaped emerald as well. And is it a nice piece to handle, Vanessa?
It's very nice. It's got good balance and it's well made. What you originally taught me is always to look at the back of a piece of jewelry before the front almost. And it's very nice.
I'm very pleased that you've been listening. Well, I love brooches, and I think that, you know, brooches are going to come back because that's my little mission anyway. Because I think, as you can see, I'm wearing a brooch here, which I talk about a bit later. But this is really, it looks really nice, and if it's beautifully made, and it's got cushion-shaped diamonds, it looks like here, and I love cushion-shaped diamonds. So all in all, I think it's a very lovely piece. And of course, the emerald, which I can't see myself, what's the color like to you, that emerald?
It's more towards the Zambian emeralds as opposed to Colombian.
Okay, all right. So you've got more of the yellowy green, the bluey green, which you see in the... And the next one?
Matthew?
27 aquamarine. Now, I've noticed aquamarines have really increased in value recently, and I think that may have started with Meghan at her wedding. Her wedding night, she was to the party. She was wearing Lady Diana's aquamarine ring, and then suddenly aquamarine sort of soared in price. You did always need some of a celebrity or somebody to really show a stone in a light where people have not necessarily seen stones or noticed stolen diamonds. And I think this is what's really showing now, and is looking at other gemstones, and aquamarines are certainly stones to look out for.
Yeah,
I love aquamarines. Now,
we
also have, this is interesting, is the you've got loads of tourmalines in your sale.
We have a wonderful consignment from Namibia, belonging to a young man whose parents were in the jewelry trade, and these were all the stones that his father gave to his mother. He obviously feels he has no need for them, and they really are quite remarkable colors, which unfortunately doesn't translate into the catalogued page, into the print.
Well, that is the problem with colored gemstones, is that to really get the feel of the cut, you have to see. It's very difficult to photograph gemstones correctly.
Yeah, before lockdown, I had to take these one or two of these to the gem lab to be checked. So I've actually got that very beautiful ring that you can see there. Have you got the ring there?
Which one? The
lot
138.
I don't know if
it looks like an aquamarine in the catalogue.
Yeah. I don't know if we could do that, but perhaps we could do the other, one or two of the other things. So we do have that. I have got that brooch on the right-hand side of the screen. Matt, I think you'll have to tell me how to, if you want to turn the camera this way.
Oh, look at that. That's amazing.
Isn't that just terrific?
Yeah.
And is it twinkling
that's
away?
That's amazing.
Isn't that a beautiful color?
That is a stunning color.
Oh, and Joanne, it's very beautifully made. Do you see? You can wear it as a pendant or a brooch.
Very fantastic.
Nice, yes, nice construction there, and beautifully made on the bench, but lovely stone.
That's a large stone. What size is that?
What have we got on that one? We've got 24, haven't we? 24 carats.
Wow. I mean, tourmalines are really sought after. You know, they really are very hard to get hold of. So tourmalines are really up there in the rarity of stones. You know, it's all these other colored stones, they really are coming into their own. And what I like about all these is, you know, I mean, you know, we've been so dominated by the idea of diamonds, of white diamonds. But I think the colored gemstone market is really going to come into its own now going forward. Starting to anyway, and I think it's definitely continuing. And you've got the next slide, you've got these amazing tourmalines, which I wish I could see these because they look enormous and they look amazing.
Joey, I've got the brooch.
Okay, let's have a look at that.
Can you have a look at that?
That is enormous.
Isn't that lovely?
That is unbelievable.
And Joey, look how beautifully made on the back. Look at this. It's got double loops, so you can have it as a very nice pendant. And look at this workmanship all on the back.
I like that I like it evenly. I mean, you know, the trouble is, at the moment, I mean, I'm just doing a conversion here into sterling. So, you know, you know, everyone's currency has taken a hit at the moment.
Yeah. It would be about,
you know, you've got that at
185 to 200,000. So it's about £7,700 to about £8,500.
Yeah. Well, that to me is absolute peanuts. I mean, that's a bargain. But then also we are in a situation where, you know, everyone's currency has changed and has fallen. The markets have fallen. And so what seems cheap now, we don't really know what the reality is going to be in the next year, if pieces are going to go back to the prices before this virus, or if it's going to find its own level, which might be different to what we saw before. So I don't know. For me, something like this, you know, it's the rarity which is so key, and the color is just stunning. And tourmalines of this size, these, you know, tourmalines of this size are just so sought after. So in anyone's book, I think worth double that at least.
Yeah.
Even where we are at the moment. But really, really beautiful. I hope you do well with that one. And is the pendant, that's a similar size, isn't it? Even though it looks much smaller in the catalogue, it's actually a.
It's actually, I think, Matt, I don't know if you can see that.
Oh wow! Oh, you've got it.
Well, I said I had to take them to the gem lab to be checked just before. I don't know if I'm holding that correctly for you.
Yeah.
Can you see
well,
it?
no, I'll get an idea, but that is incredible. I know there's a couple of people who are listening in who will absolutely be, very jealous and would love to try and buy that. That's super. That really is super.
Sorry, not to interrupt, but we've just got a question from Mr. Graham White, who's asking what kind of metals are being used.
These have all been 18 karat gold. They've all been made in 18 karat gold.
White gold.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Sorry, I beg your pardon. I'll turn off now.
Next slide. Oh, yes. Oh, no, one by. So this one is, I love this. It's so typical 70s, using ebony, using the wood and with the gold. This is very, very typical of that period. And again, it's really coming back into fashion. I mean, Van Cleef used to, all the houses used wood. And this is not signed though, is it, this one, Vanessa?
It's not like that wonderful, exciting Van Cleef & Arpels coral necklace that you and I found. No, I looked everywhere. I'm sorry.
Well, it is still a very nice piece, and it is, something like this, it's so contemporary. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't look a period piece necessarily. But I love it, so I think that's a really good buy, and that's a nice jewel.
Yeah, it's pretty timeless.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word, timeless.
But can we have a look at the next slide? Thank you.
And these, of course, they're signed Tiffany Co, but they're by a designer called Angela Cummings, and she joined. She was actually Austrian, but she grew up in the States, and she joined Tiffany as their designer in 1968, and she started her own collection in 1975, and she left Tiffany in 1984. But this is very typical of her work, this inlay work. So sort of very geometric, but also using other gem materials as an inlay. Very distinctive. And she is very collected as well. And again, it's sort of like it's a timeless piece. But those they should be over double, even during Corona. They'll make you feel good. In fact, I think earrings should do really well at the moment, because you can't see further, you can only see from here up, so the earrings are the all important accessory for Zoom calls. And going with, talking about, I mean, white diamonds are in a bit of a free fall at the moment. And I think what will, I mean, I don't know, obviously, but I get the feeling that color is king, and the king of color are still colored diamonds because of their rarity. It's as simple as that. And I think the market going forward is going to reflect that people are going to now want quality, and they're going to want rarity. And with these the natural colored diamonds, I think these, before we would always be a bit snooty about, a brownish yellow or grayish blue, and it had to be a straight color. Well, I don't think that that's going to matter anymore. I think it's going to be if the stone speaks to you. And also what's happening is that at this moment in time, for an awful lot of goldsmiths and jewelers around the world, they're having a very, very hard time selling their work, getting the material, getting it hallmarked. In the UK, it's very difficult with the assay offices closed at the moment, and you cannot legally sell your work unless it's hallmarked. And of course, with assay offices are shut, that's very difficult. So there's a lot of challenges out there, and I think that for looking at auctions, you can also look at the stones, and you might not like the setting. So buy it for the stone itself. I mean, the aquamarine ring that you've got here, personally, I find there's too many claws. I know it's part of the design, but I personally don't like the setting. But if the stone was speaking to me, then I would still buy it and get it reset. And I think for a lot of going forward, for a lot of jewelers and goldsmiths, they're going to get more work where people will want to remodel jewelry, their own that they've got already, or maybe if they've bought it in an auction. So I mean, I think that's what we'll see quite a lot of that. So I was trying before we came on air. Why I was late was because I was trying to transfer some extra slides, but my internet is too slow. So what I wanted to say is that recently I interviewed a lady called Elizabeth Gage, and I don't know if many of you know her, have heard of her. She is an incredible lady that she's been in the jewelry business in the UK for nearly over 50 years, and she's a jewelry designer. And in fact, this is an Elizabeth Gage brooch, and I interviewed her recently for an article, and it was really interesting to hear her, what inspires her. And I think she loves her garden, she loves nature, she's an avid gardener, but so I assumed that it was nature that was going to inspire her designs. And in fact, in my emerald book, this is my emerald book, these are some of her emerald jewels that I've got in the book here. But you can see that they're very bold. They're not delicate like a flower or anything like that. So, but she said to me, it wasn't about her garden inspiring her designs. It was about her garden that was inspiring, giving her energy, so that she can then put that energy into her designs. And it was the stones that led the design. And she's a great believer that the stone will choose you rather than you choose the stone. She believes in that philosophy, and she believes in that with all kinds. She also collects coins or all kinds of ancient Egyptian faience, but only if it speaks to her, and then she'll be able to design. She's at the moment in lockdown in London, and I said, well, with this time on your hands, are you designing? And she said, no, I can't, because my stones are not with me, so I can't design. I have to wait for my stones to return, which I thought was lovely.
How old is she now?
Well, I don't think she likes to say, but she is
right.
Over the 80s.
Right.
So an amazing lady, and she's still, nothing goes out of her workshop unless she's inspected it. So she is still very much part of the process, of all her jewelry. But she she found a great, America loved her jewelry. Oh, back in the 50s, she did really well, 60s with her jewelry, and very happy about that. And then this little ring at the top here in its box, an emerald ring, that was by Co May, 1905, 1907, and that was worn by a survivor. She was 18 years old at the time. She just recently married. Her husband said, oh, she lost a child. That's right. She lost a child. And her husband said at the time, I tell you what, to make up for all the hardship that you've been through, let's go on the Titanic. And so they went on the Titanic, and she was on the lifeboat watching her husband and the ship go down. And she was wearing that very ring when she was in the lifeboat, you know, and how rude actually sometimes to put prices on things when there's stories like that. But the good, just finish with this good luck story here. There's a tourmaline again, a tourmaline ring, and you can see there's the front and the side view with all the tubes going up sideways of the shank.
Mm-hmm. Can see that.
And she'd bought it in goods. Yeah, it's in the center of the slide, and it in Collingwoods in the 70s. And she bought it, but it wasn't signed. It wasn't signed by anybody. And as I looked at it, and it had such quality, and it was a stunning tourmaline. And I said on camera, I said, you know, wouldn't it be amazing if someone who, you know, who made it was actually watching or knew of the person who made it. So when I said that, afterwards, social media and my phone was going off all the time with everybody saying, oh, I think I know who's made it. Well, it took a while to work out who it was, and it was all about the detail. People would say to me, oh, it's the Grima Workshops. And then Jojo Grima said to me, no, it's not the Grima Workshops, because we never did bendy tubes. We always did sort of straight. Then David Thomas said, oh, that's one of mine. So I showed him the picture, and he said, oh, no. He said, that's reeded tubes. And I never used reeded tubes. So it was really down to the real detail when some of the workshop boys here, with the older generation, they said, we know who used reeded draw plates, and that was Lawrence Wheaton. So I actually tracked down, he unfortunately has died, but I tracked down his widow, and she had the drawings for this ring. So we were able to take it to the assay office, find his punch, and we hallmarked it with his that was so lovely, because then a goldsmith wasn't forgotten. You know, Lawrence Wheaton was back in with the Grimas and the Alan Guards and the John Donalds and all the other people of that period. So that was really, really satisfying to do something like that. But there's lots of lovely stories. Yes, it's a real privilege to work on the show.
That's an amazing story, Joey. That's absolutely incredible. They all are. And I think that's half the fun of the auction world, is really the stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really what makes the fun and the collecting. And we just always hope we're going to find someone who's going to enjoy them as much as we do.
Well, exactly.
Joey, thank you so much. You've been absolutely incredible, as always. It's been, I hope everybody, yeah, are you there? Oh, yeah. It's been such fun seeing you again, although very, as we say, the technology is zooming away. But thank you so much for joining us. And I'm not sure, Matt, if you want to take over as the Master of Ceremonies, if
I just
anybody's
wanted
got any questions.
We've had so many questions and people just saying, thank you so much. It's really been lovely. And I think there's been some interest in your course. I've just got one or two questions saying, from Nikki Zigras saying that sounds really fascinating. And so, Joanna, just for the benefit of our audience, why don't you just tell us a little bit more about that course and how people can come online and participate?
So there's two levels. There's one called, it's on the platform called Learning with Experts. That's the platform, and they also have floristry and bread making and all wine appreciation and photography. So and my jewelry courses. So you've got two levels. You've got what's called a peer level or an expert level. And the peer level is when you just pay and you can watch those videos as much as you want. You can't download them obviously, but you only pay the once and you can just keep watching them. And they really are sort of, there's a lot of information there, and me talking to all these various people within the industry. I think, going to eWolf, which is a workshop in Hatton Garden, and they made the crown jewels and they've got the original archive material. And so to be able to talk to someone whose father made the crown jewels is just incredible. And the workshop hasn't changed, it's still the same. And he would say that his father used to go down to Buckingham Palace with a tiara underneath his bowler hat. And that's how he used to take the tiara which is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So there's lots of lovely stories, but it's really just to show the appreciation of what goes in, all the setters, the mounters, the casters, the cutters, all of these people, they are all part of the community that make these beautiful jewels that we love to be custodians of for a moment in time. And then you've got the expert level, and that is, again, it's the same videos, but I have set assignments. And so with those assignments, I will mark those assignments, and you can then ask me any questions that you like. And so you've got sort of that connection between me. And I think what's unique is that while everyone is in lockdown, which, you feel quite isolated, well, you're not just doing this on your own, you're actually doing it in a classroom. It's a virtual classroom. So you can talk to other people from around the world that are also taking the course. And that's really nice because you can then interact with other people. And so it's a virtual classroom too, which is pretty unique actually. So it's not just me talking at you, we're all sort of talking together. And that is what is very special.
I see somebody's just thank you very much, Georgina Izzard. It's just said that if anybody wants to go and find that, you can go to online. The URL is learningwithexperts.com/jewelry, and there you can find Joanna's online jewelry foundation course. So that's just a nice plug. Thank you so much, Georgie Izzard. And then I've got another question. Just while we've got the experts on the line, we thought we're just going to bend your ear here. Somebody's got a pair of earrings, and she was going to say, do they lose? She wants to get. Is it easy to get a jeweler to convert clip-on earrings to pierced earrings, and vice versa? And does it lose its value?
Well, I never say. I always say actually it's always best to keep the jewel as is. It depends on the jewel. It depends on the period. It depends on the age. It depends how if it's a well-made piece. If you want to put clips into pierced, you've got to be very careful, because sometimes with pierced they can drop. Clips can keep the earrings really quite up, but if you have a small butterfly, it can really make the earring drop. So I mean, I'm just taking this off. These I bought in Inorgenta in just gone in March, and these are morganite, and this is by a jeweler called Jorg Spreng, who's in my contemporary jewelry book, and this is his as well. This is a smoky quartz, and this is morganite. These stones are so beautifully cut that you don't need an open back, because the cutting is so superb that the light is reflected in the stone, and you don't need to have the open back. But with the earrings here, because they're quite a big earring, but he has a very large cut butterfly, and that is what's really key. I think you can now get sort of butterflies with sort of extended tops so that it can lift the earring. So it's just it's always an individual thing. I think if you go to a good goldsmith, they would be able to advise you. The only time when it's really not you shouldn't change it is if it's a Georgian piece, a Georgian earring or something like that. If you start changing that, that's a disaster.
So best advice is keep it period.
Sorry?
Best advice is to keep it period.
Yeah, I mean, it is best to keep it period. And, and if you don't have peers, well, and they've got peers, well, maybe you might have to think again rather than destroy the age of the jewel. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll always be modified.
Absolutely. V, do you have any input on kind of modifying existing pieces of jewelry? As Joanna was saying, earlier I found very interesting when she said, if you don't like the mounting of a stone, but the jewel is talking to you, get it remounted. What's your input, and how would you advise, V?
Well, I'm sure Joanna will agree with me. Always go to a goldsmith. Just go to somebody who really knows what they're doing. Absolutely. Joey, what do you think?
Yes, I mean, I think that there are a lot of very nice stones that might be set in not very nice mounts, and so it's okay to take them out and use them into something else. Again, I think it's taking them to a good goldsmith, and they will advise you, saying, or take a photograph of the piece before you're thinking of buying it at auction, for instance, and just have a chat with a goldsmith prior to buying it, as well. And I think that would be a good idea.
Absolutely. I see we've got another question for a link to the course. So just I'm going to just start doing our conclusions and thanks. And just while we're doing that, I'm going to go and grab the link for everybody, just because we've had some queries. So just before we go, Joanna, I'm just going to shoot and find the link for you. But in the meantime, V, thank you very much. And would you like to just say some final words on thanking Joanna for her participation?
Oh, well, Joey, I mean, it's just so nice to have you on our platform. And of course, we're all sort of gobsmacked and longing for more of your information, but I know you never stop zooming around. And thank you for giving your precious time to us today.
Oh no, I've enjoyed it. I'd love to see you in Cape Town one day soon.
Oh, I hope so too. We love you to come back again.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been great fun, and thank you to everybody for being patient and listening to me waffle on.
Joanna, thank you again. So from my end, thanks so much. It's really been such an opportunity to learn. These talks have been presenting me with an opportunity to learn outside of my specialization, and with the fantastic speakers such as yourself that we've had on. It's been a real honor and a privilege. So it's this is my 15 seconds of fame in the spotlight with you. So it's really been a pleasure. And I'd just like to quickly take this opportunity to highlight. We've got the rest of the program for the week. We've got, I believe, a colleague of yours, Joanna, from the UK, Dendy Easton, is joining us on Friday.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, you'll be well entertained with him.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. And then tomorrow, just for the benefit of the audience, we've got 3 contemporary artists: Jake Aikman, Sanal Achenbach, and Georgina Gratchix, and they're going to be joined by Sean O'Toole, who are noted art critic and celebrated writer, is going to be joining them for our conversation tomorrow, and then Dendy Easton with Ian Hunter doing British and Continental. So again, and we've got some thanks from Kim Howe saying thank you so much, Joanna, and again Diane Janssen van Rensburg, again thank you so much to Joanna. So again, from my end, Joanna, we're creeping past 5, so I'm going to say thank you again, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And again, ladies and gentlemen, please go, if you're interested to hear more from Joanna, please go and look for a course at learningwithexperts.com/jewelry. And Joanna, again, it's been fantastic. We hope to see and hear more of you.
Be my
Thanks
pleasure.
so much. Thanks so much, Matt.
Pleasure. Thank you,
My
V.
pleasure.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Joey.
Bye.
Hi, Joey.
Oh, Bina.
Thank you so much. What a privilege to see you and listen to you again. It was such a treat.
Oh,
Please come back to Cape Town soon. We would love to have you.
Well, I would very much like to come back. Definitely.
We have to just ride the wave.
Yeah.
But hopefully it will be sooner than seems to be anticipated. But lovely to see you again, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. What a privilege, Joey. Take care.
My pleasure, Bina. All the best. Take care, and good luck with the sale.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.